Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm Casey, your host from Tales from the Fog, and I'm here with Veronica Marshman.
Hello.
Once again, she's joining us as we're going to be talking about a lot of interesting things today. We had a busy weekend. How'd you enjoy the weekend?
I had a fantastic weekend. One of the best, yet. It was filled with a lot of fun things.
So, let's talk about Motel 6 Feet Under. You went in it last year.
I did. I loved it.
We kind of just ended up going because we got free tickets from Scare LA, not really expecting anything much from it. And it was actually probably one of the favorite things that I did last year.
Well, first of all, before we even talk about the haunt, I want to talk about how we got our free tickets. So there's an annual event called Scare LA that happens in Pasadena every summer. And 6 Feet Under, in their first year, they had a booth. And in the booth, you could win free tickets, and then you can get entered into a drawing to get more free tickets. So the way that you won tickets was you were put into this dark booth, and they had a camera on you, and you had to scream, like give them the best horror movie you're about to die scream, and then they recorded it.
I totally forgot about that part.
I love that part. When you say 6 Feet Under, that's what I think about, that, because I was working with the Decade Brigade, so I'm covered in, just yucky monster makeup, and then like full costume, and then, we go into this booth, this weird odd couple of just like, there's a normal dude, and then there's this creepy chick, and they're in there, and then you hear the most blood-curdling scream.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what it was like being on the outside listening to this horror show. And then, we walk out like, do-do-do-do-do, and they hand us our free tickets. And then Casey gave them his email address, and maybe a couple weeks later, a month later, he got an email saying that he had won the drawing.
Yeah. And
he got 2 more free tickets. So we ended up getting to see this event for the first time, on the house, which was great. But, we got to see it with them not doing any testing. No, there's really no trial and error. Like they hit the ground running and said, we're going to do a haunt. This is it, on the grander scale, not the little one that they had, at the fall festival, but, an actual, standalone attraction.
Yeah.
So that, like I said, that's 6 Feet Under to me, was that booth that they had at Scare LA where you had to scream for your tickets. I just thought that was really cute.
Yeah, it's a very like homegrown haunt. Like, they're not professional set designers. They're, they just kind of fell into the haunt thing and enjoyed it and said, we're going to keep this going. And they just they did it. And you could tell that going through the haunt. Because there's a lot of things that you're just like, wow, no haunts are doing this.
It's very clever. Like you can see what's going to scare you and walk around what's going to scare you, and it'll still scare you. It's brilliant the way that it's clever in the way that it will trick your mind into, you'll get that scare, but it's not so over-engineered where, you're going to get so caught up in the mechanism that you're not going to get the scare.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just very simple and elegant in its first year.
Yeah. And the second year, this year, they pretty much stuck to the really, really fun things. It's really hard to do reviews on haunts that are still open because you don't want to spoil anything for anybody. Mm-hmm. But if you went through it last year, there were 2 things that really stood out. One was a tradition, like a actual maze section that we kind of got lost in for a while. And then there was another one where there was a dead end at one point and something really magical happens. They took those 2 things and they expanded on it. They made it a little cleaner, and it was just as magical the second time because you thought you knew what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, what you thought was going to happen didn't happen at all. And there was like another twist. And you're just like, wow, they did it again. Like,
that's
I can't believe they got me again.
Yeah, that's how you know when you stumbled across a really good idea. A really good approach to a gag is when you can do it again and you still throw the guest for a loop. We're like, oh, I know what this is going to be. Oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really cool. So let's go over to Motel 6 Feet Under. I went with Vince from All Things Haunted, and we did an interview with Carolyn, the owner of 6 Feet Under. And let's go over there, let's listen to the interview, and then we'll come back and get you on the other side.
Yes, let's do.
So, this is your second year, is that right?
Our second year as Motel 6 Feet Under.
Great. And what's going on different this year that was last year?
Well, at the end of last year, we did a poll of our audience, and we asked them what was the scariest thing, and they thought Mabel, our little girl, was the scariest thing. So we brought her back in a really big way. We watched all of the reviews, all of the things that people were saying, and we tried to take that all into account and then give people what they wanted, basically.
And so, what's going on today? We're at opening night, grand opening. Are you excited?
Very excited.
Okay. And so, tell us a little bit about Boo. That's a thing here.
That's Building Occupational Opportunities, Boo. That's our nonprofit. When we started the haunted house, we had a lot of volunteers that were coming and putting in hours, and we decided to be intentional about it and try to figure out a way to help our volunteers, like get jobs, launch their careers, do anything we can to help them continue forward in their careers.
Okay, and where are you located?
We are at the Anaheim Business Expo Center, which is awesome. And they also have other rooms that you can throw parties in and then come through the haunt as part of that. It's 1960 Anaheim Way in Anaheim, 92805.
And you're running this through?
Through November 5th, Wednesday through Sunday, 7 to 10 on Wednesday, Thursday, and Sundays. And then Friday and Saturday at 7 to 11. We're also open on Halloween from 7 to 10, but we're going to close on November 2nd.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for watching. This is Vince with All Things Haunted, and we're here with Casey from
Tales from the Fog. How you guys doing?
Standing in the fog.
Yeah.
Standing in the fog. What were some of the challenges that you had this year compared to last year?
Well, we did a lot more this year based on what people said, and we also had a little smaller staff this year and a little less time, so we weren't able to do a preview. Last year we did a preview and tested things out, so tonight we just went for it, brought you all here and just gave it our best shot.
It came out wonderfully.
So, yay!
I say I loved it.
Yay! Good.
Is there anything that you're particularly proud of that you accomplished this year?
I'm just so excited that people are having such a good time. I can't even tell you. It's been such a ride, and we kind of joke that it's like learning curve or dog paddling in Niagara. You know, We're doing our best to try and keep up with the demand and what people want and make it fun. And it's just been such a fun ride. Like, just, I don't know, it's the audiences that just give us their feedback, and then we try to accommodate them. And it's really fun.
Thank you guys.
Now your location was originally in Anaheim, and you moved out here, right? So this is really your third year?
Well, we started as part of the Anaheim Fall Festival, and we were just a haunted house for the day that was free. And then we started to get a little bit of a following, and then we dubbed it Motel 6 Feet Under, not last year, but the year before. But then it got too big, because the Fall Festival is a pretty small board and small organization. So it got too big for that. So last year we branched off, started our own nonprofit. So technically under Boo, this is our second year. And the motel is the biggest fundraiser to fuel Boo.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great program, great haunted house.
Having fun.
It's absolutely wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, I'm glad you like
Thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night and a great season.
Yay, come back.
We'll see you.
Tell your friends.
We will.
Okay.
We will, definitely.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, bye.
All right.
Bye.
So again, this is All Things Haunted. We're here live at Motel 6 Feet Under in Anaheim, California. So if you're out, this is opening night. They're going to be running again through Halloween or week after Halloween. So come on down and check it out if you're in the area.
All right, we're back. We're back from Motel 6 Feet Under. We're going to cruise up the freeway a little bit to Sinister Pointe, which is up in Fullerton, California. They've currently moved. They were in Brea, and we've been fans of Sinister Pointe for a long time, and we've actually scared with them a few times. What do you think about Sinister Pointe?
I think Sinister Pointe is a very unique and interesting haunt. They have an interesting mix of traditional maze and escape rooms, sort of. So, every year they have a new way of separating you from everybody else and making you do something horrible, but not so horrible where you're gonna actually throw up or anything, but horrible enough to where if it was real, you certainly wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And they take you through really interesting scenes. They're very good about using things for things that they were never intended, like these weird ways that they use chains and walls. Like last year they had this bizarre changing room with the mirrors. I mean, they've done some really cool things, and I think that they have a good way of storytelling in their set pieces.
Yeah.
They get fantastic actors who all work for free. You know, they do it because they just love to scare, and they're very dedicated. And the people who run it, you can tell, are very dedicated to, you know, to making this haunt happen. I mean, this year they had a crazy amount of trials and tribulations to have to go through.
Yeah.
And, you know, at that very last minute, they still pulled it together to make something incredible. And it just shows like that much talent going into putting an event together. And you can tell that there's lots of years behind their set building, their character design, you know, and their talent management, because they're able to get all these talented people back.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think they're definitely one of the best in this area. You know, I don't know what things are like around the country, but I would dare say that they're one of the best in the country as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They really pushed it this year. We know how hard it is to build a haunted attraction. And, you know, even last year in Huntington Haunt, we had to build the maze in 2 days, but we started actually building the sets towards the end of July. So we had almost 3 months of building sets. And yeah, we had to install it in 2 days, but we had most of the stuff built. Sinister Pointe didn't get into their building this year until 3 weeks before, and they had to build the maze from the ground up. So everything was built from the ground up in 3 weeks, and they opened on time, which is amazing to me. And, you know, we got one of the most candid interviews I think we ever gotten with Jeff, and we went over there to talk to him because, you know, he was very honest about it, and he was like, he's exhausted, which I totally understand. And so we didn't get a chance to actually go through the attraction, because Sinister Pointe has a rabid fan base. And when they put out a maze, people show up. And when we got there after going to Motel 6 Feet Under, the standby line was probably over an hour long. And the front of the line pass line was about 30 minutes, which is insane. So we didn't get to go through because I think it was like somewhere between 10 and 10:30 when we showed up. And we're like, well, we're not going to hang out till midnight to go through the attraction. So hopefully we'll get back there either this weekend or maybe next weekend. But yeah, I love the fear challenges that they do. They come up with really interesting things that aren't hard to figure out. So it's not so much like an escape room, but it's usually something that's going to be a little stressful on you. The one that stands out to me is when you had to put your hand in, down the garbage disposal, to push a button, and then like water would squirt up out of it and to get the door to unlock. And that's kind of like exactly the type of stuff that they do. And from talking to Jeff, which you'll hear in the interview in a second, they pretty much stuck to that, but he said they added a few new twists. So I'm really interested to see what they might have done. And he also said that they possibly brought back some classic old fear challenges that people really liked.
Very nice.
So let's go over to Sinister Pointe and talk to Jeff, and then when that's over, we'll come back and we're going to go on a road trip.
Okay, thanks. We're back with All Things Haunted and Tales from the Fog, and tonight we're with Jeff at the new location here at Sinister Pointe. So it's his opening night, is that right?
This is opening night, yeah.
And so how's it going so far?
It's a little hectic.
Is it?
It's been a ride.
What kind of challenge are you facing?
You know, I think the biggest thing was we just got into the space 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
So we had 3 weeks for no more than 5 of us at the most to build this entire thing from ground up, from scratch.
Wow.
This year, in the past, we sold all of our last stuff, so this one was built from ground up, everything. So it hasn't been easy. So we've been, you know, a lot of 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, trying to get this thing done. So I think just it's all very last minute and rushed. This whole weekend's going to be a little hectic.
What's your theme this year?
We're kind of doing like a it's based on 4 different symbols, which each symbol kind of has its own little twist to a style or a theme. So each symbol represents something, and they explain that inside the maze, what each symbol represents. And the guests get to, the spirits get to choose your path for them. Mm-hmm. And the guests will go down a certain path. Now there's 4 different paths, so it gives the opportunity for guests to come back and experience all 4 different paths.
And is this bigger than the old location?
Yes, it is. I would say especially if you're doing all four, it's one giant maze with 4 mini mazes inside of it. So it definitely is a much longer experience.
And what's it take you? How long the average person before they go to it?
I want to say each one is probably. It depends on if they run or crawl, whatever. But I would say 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes
That's a pretty long maze.
per thing, and then So it's a nice hour. I'd say it's an hour experience if they want to kind of do all of them.
For those that have done the mazes before in the past, is there anything unique or different, or is it close to the same formula you guys done before with like the fear challenges and?
I think we stick to a lot of the same elements that we've done before. We've taken some of those things and put a little more twists on them and just kind of changed them up a little bit. I think we've added a few more things that are new to what we've done. So we're, taking, we thought this year, because we have so many different paths, that we kind of dig back into some of the things that we've done in the past that were really successful. So we're using some classic elements along with some new stuff.
What are you most excited about this year?
For it to be over. It's tough at the moment. I know it's just opening night, but it's tough at the moment to take in and say, oh, we did it, and okay, let's have fun with it. For us, it honestly probably we're still going to be building and tweaking and everything for another week, so we're not having fun yet. I mean, you know what I mean? It's more stress. So we're looking. I'm mostly looking forward to next weekend.
All right.
Where we can finally. Open the doors again on Friday and go, okay, it's done. Let's enjoy this now and talk to the guests and kind of get into the spirit of it. But right now, we still feel like it's just work.
Right, and so where are you located this year?
We're in Fullerton this year. The address is 1851 West Orangethorpe Avenue in Fullerton. And I think, this is a new location for this year, and we'll see how it works out and if we'll be here any longer.
Okay, and where can we find out more information on Sinister Pointe?
You could go to sinisterpointe.com, and that'll take you directly to our website, as well as Facebook at Sinister Pointe, anything Sinister Pointe, Instagram Sinister Pointe. We're there. Google us. We're everywhere.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you.
And again, this is Vince and Casey. We're with All Things Haunted and Tales from the Fog, and thanks for watching.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. You got your bags packed?
Got them packed. We're ready to go.
Cars full of gas?
Yes.
All right, because we're going on a road trip.
Road trip!
Road trip!
Woo!
So, the reason for the road trip is, we like driving through Central California because we like looking at cows and smelling poo. And we like driving by the big semis on the road. And we like playing I Spy. But that's really not why we packed our bags and filled the car with gas today. We did all of this nonsense so that we can drive our happy butts up to Sanger, California to visit your favorite haunt and mine,
Hobbs
Grove. Woo!
Yeah.
I'm just a little excited about this one.
Yeah. Hobbs Grove is, to me, it's probably the best haunted attraction in the country.
Oh, it is still my favorite. Last time we were together, I mentioned that it was one of my favorites, and I actually called it my favorite. And after visiting it again, it's still my favorite. It has definitely secured that spot as being number one in my heart. It's just, so awesome.
Yeah, it is. Let's talk about getting out there. We'll kind of go through the attractions in the order that we went through them, just so we can kind of compartmentalize our brains.
Okay.
So going out to Hobbs Grove, you get off the freeway, and you're just driving into the middle of nowhere. You can go on Google and look up Sanger, California. You'll see it's literally in the middle of nowhere, and there's nothing out there.
But once you get into Sanger, it's a town. I mean, it's not like you're driving through the whole time. Like, you get into a town. And it's a very nice town. I liked it there. They have some really good food in Sanger.
Oh, they do. They have some great Mexican food.
And there's a store called Gong.
Gong.
We didn't get to go into, and I'm kind of heartbroken about it, but it's a grocery store named Gong.
Yep.
Let us know if you live out there and you've been there, and tell us what it's like inside. We need to know. And we can't look it up on Google for some reason, so we need you to tell us.
I imagine every time the automatic doors open, They're just a really loud gong sound. That's what I hope it happens.
I hope so bad that that's true. Oh, Sanger, I love you so much.
Sanger's awesome.
Okay, so we're driving through Sanger, and then we leave town.
And then you're on your own trying to go through the back farm roads of Sanger.
Yeah.
Until you hopefully stumble upon a small sign showing you the entrance to Hobbs Grove.
It's a spooky little sign.
It is. And then you end up going past if you get there early enough, which you need to get there when the parking lot opens, people. If you're going, look online when the parking lot is going to be opening for the day you're going, and you show up at that time.
No later.
No later.
You will be floored at how quickly the line forms just to get into the Esplanade.
Yeah.
You know, just to park. I mean, it's more of an attraction than you think if you haven't been there before.
Yeah.
You really have to get there on time.
Yeah. There's, the night we went, I don't even know. I'm going to guess from all my Disneyland experience, I'm going to estimate how many people were in the park. And I'm going to put it at 5,000 people.
Like in total, like attendance for that night?
Yeah, attendance for that night, 5,000 plus. What do you think?
I have no idea. So I'll say that's a great guess.
Well, they have a 7-acre parking lot, and then they have a 2-acre overflow lot. And when we left, it looked like both of them were pretty much full.
The main parking lot was completely full, and the overflow parking was like almost full. So last year, or the last time that we went up there, they only had the main parking lot, the 7 acres, and it was so full that there was a queue of cars in that long street that goes up into the parking lot from the main road. That was completely backed up, filled with cars, waiting just to park. That's not accounting for if they need to stand in line and buy their tickets, the lines that they need to stand in to get into the attraction. I mean, that's just waiting in their car so that they can park their car. I mean, that's how popular this thing was. So thank goodness for the overfilled parking, because this was a Saturday night.
That's a good point. Buy your tickets online too. So get there when the parking lot opens. Buy your tickets online, because if you get there anytime, I'm going to say after 7:30, the line just to buy tickets can be up to 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, when we're saying that this is a big deal, I mean, it is a big deal. And it's not just because it's out in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing else to do. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that you can do. But it is such an attraction in this area. I mean, it's a haunt like you're never going to see. It's when you go through these attractions, and we'll talk about them one by one in a minute, but you get to see just how hard they work, and you can really see the effort and the love that goes into it. And it's not just, a seasoned haunt goer and haunt enthusiast like me and you, but and our audience. But I mean, people who the only haunted event that they go to is this event. Yeah. And they might have to travel to get to it. I mean, it's no small event. Mm-hmm. Even though it's 3 attractions, but an Esplanade full of food and entertainment. There's live music. There's a store that has all sorts of cool odds and ends.
The store is awesome.
It is a big deal.
Yeah, and we were talking to one of the basically the manager of the park, and he was saying that this year they had people come from Australia, England,
New
Zealand,
Germany.
Yeah, just like people are coming all over, and Hobbs Grove is on their list. Mm-hmm. And it should be on yours too, especially if you're in California, because if somebody can come from New Zealand to go through this thing, you can drive 4 hours up the freeway to go check it out, and it's completely worth it.
You have no excuse. If you are anywhere on the West Coast, it is worth the drive. We promise you.
Yep. So you finally get into the Esplanade. It's amazing. They have probably four or 5 food stands, kind of like you would see at a fair. So they have pizza, hot dogs, burgers, kettle corn, tacos, that kind of stuff. So there's plenty of stuff to hang out and do. If you're bringing friends that don't want to go through the haunted houses, they can hang out in the Esplanade. There's plenty of stuff to do. Like we said, there's entertainment. There's the stores. There's the food. Mm-hmm. There's wandering characters. Some of the best characters at Hobbs are the ones that are in the Esplanade. And they're not really they will do scaring. They'll do light scaring, but mostly it's all about interacting with the people, taking pictures, entertaining people. And they're all absolutely amazing characters.
Yeah, there's one fellow that we have been going out there to see specifically, and his name is Ralph. But unfortunately, Ralph was on an expedition, and he wasn't there.
Yep.
But there was another character there. His name was Rumble. And, I mean, as far as a costumed character goes, he was downright amazing. But as far as character creation, the texture and the depth that this one character had alone was just, I mean, it blew my mind. I mean, you guys heard, if you heard episode 2, like, I'm obsessed with costuming and character development. Like, this dude, we were hanging out for 5 minutes and he had so much texture to him. I just fell in love, just like I fell in love with Ralph.
Yeah.
And all the characters are like that. They all are just, you can tell that they just care. And, a little sneak peek into the world, if you aren't just a fan, if you're also a producer to some degree, the people who are in charge of the talent and in charge of various, responsibilities around the event are sometimes one of those costume characters.
Yeah.
And this is brilliant because instead of, no offense to Knots, but instead of roaming around watching your talent with the big, shiny yellow shirt on, you're wandering around engaging the guests, asking them how they're doing, taking pictures, really, like, getting soaked into the atmosphere and the world that you've created. At the same time, you're able to, cleanly move from one part of the world to the other to take care of this issue or that issue of, a security issue or a talent issue, anything that you need to take care of because you're responsible for stuff.
Yeah.
You can do it without making a big scene. Like when you were walking through a scare zone or the Esplanade or a haunted house or whatever, and you've got a bright shirt on, people are going to think, something must have happened.
Yeah, it kind of pulls you out of...
It pulls you out of the world.
Pulls you out of the world. Same thing like at Knott's when you see the blackouts with their flashlights and they're just going like that.
You're reminded for a second that you're...
instantly pulled out of the story.
You're like, that's right, I'm in a maze.
Yeah.
But the way that they do it is they make sure that, it was very Disney-esque in the way that they made everything.
If you're on stage, you're in costume.
Yeah.
Nobody that is an on-stage person is not in costume.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking like the highest level of responsibility for this park. That person is not only a costume character, a very memorable and noticeable costume character.
Yeah.
I mean, and you wouldn't know it unless you paid an extra bit of attention. You might catch something that gives it away, but otherwise you would never know.
Yeah, and they do have blackout type characters just like Knott's, but they're in the background, they're hidden, and they're in costume. So if you do happen to catch a glimpse of them, you're not even going to be paying attention to that's somebody else. They're in costume. They're there to protect the other talent, but you just don't notice them because they just blend into the scene so nicely.
Yeah, they just look like a monster who didn't want to scare you but want to scare somebody else.
Yeah.
Like they blend in so nicely.
All right, so the first thing that we did, which is my favorite thing to do first, is the haunted house. And they did something very special this year that they haven't done in a long, long time, which is open the second floor.
I guess they did it last year, but we didn't go last year.
We didn't go
see
last year.
it.
So for us, it was a very special thing because it's been years and years for me since they've opened that second floor, and it was so fun to go up on the second floor again.
It was something special because you just don't see that. You don't see going up into a second floor in a traditional haunted house in almost anywhere. First of all, if you're a big event, you've got all of these ADA responsibilities. So, I'm sure they have a workaround too, but you just don't see a lot of stairs, a lot of, level changes like that.
Yeah.
So to go into a house that is a house, not like, it could be some other kind of structure, but it looks like a house. Mm-hmm. Like it's just been there forever. And then to be able to actually go upstairs and encounter some super awesome gags that I don't even know if I want to tell them because it's so awesome that you don't want to know it's coming. Like, I don't know. Do we tell them?
Let's keep it a secret. If you want to find out what's on the second floor, you have about 3 more weeks of Hobbs Grove, so make the drive up there and find out what's on the second floor.
And it's really, from a haunter's perspective, the things that are up there are super, super cool. From a guest perspective, they're super awesome and scary and unexpected.
Yeah.
Purely, unexpected would be... if they have one word that describes everything, I think that has to be it. Because
Unexpected?
everything is just unexpected. It's so against, what's cool right now. Like, you're not going to see any steampunk vampires. Again, no offense. But you're just not going to see that kind of stuff. You're going to see things that they thought of on their own and decided to make work. And if it didn't work, they fixed it.
Yeah.
They're give a crap of what other haunts are doing is just gone. It never existed.
Well, that's the thing of, because they're so isolated, they don't get influenced by Magic Mountain and Universal and Knott's Berry Farm. They really have their own culture and their own ideas, and they embrace it, and they just go full bore with it. And I think it's absolutely amazing.
It's super cool. And they can always go on Google and look at, or go, just go on the internet and look at these other events and how they're doing them and what characters they're using and all this stuff. Like, in our world, everything is accessible. They have made a conscious choice from day one to intentionally not look at any of that stuff, which is admirable.
Yeah.
It is also awesome to do those sort of things where you kind of, you go out and get feedback, like 6 Feet Under was talking about how they, they took what they learned last year, got a lot of feedback, and then made something new out of it. Mm-hmm. That is a totally awesome way to build a haunt that everyone's going to love.
Yeah.
But if you want to be this weird, weird in a good way, don't get me wrong, but like just bizarre, unique, funky, creepy thing that you've never seen before and wouldn't even expect, then, you cut yourself off from the world and you make whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. And
that's what you get when you go into the events at Hobbs Grove. Okay, so where were we? We were upstairs, which is amazing.
Yeah. We should talk about, actually, let's roll back. We'll go back to the beginning of the maze. So, interesting thing was, part of the maze was a 3D maze, the beginning part. Mm-hmm. And so you got your 3D glasses, same kind of thing that Knott's and Universal have done for years. But they did some really cool stuff with the 3D paint that I haven't seen other attractions do.
Yeah, there was one bit in particular where it looked like everyone was walking through a wall.
Yeah, it was
great.
It was such a cool, trippy effect.
And there was one, I will talk about this because it's existed in other haunts before, but there is a vortex tunnel.
Yeah.
And it is the best vortex tunnel I've ever been through in my life. It's not really hyperbole to say it. It was just the use of the 3D paint and the thing that you're looking at and where you come from. Just phenomenal.
And they got it spinning at the perfect speed to make it feel like you're flipping upside down, because
we almost fell over twice.
Everybody. And then so after we went through it the first time, and there were still a few people behind me. And I actually stopped and looked back because I just wanted to watch, and everybody that was walking through was leaning at a 45-degree angle to one side. And it was the funniest thing to watch because they were trying to stand up straight and they were just constantly leaning over to the side.
It was brutal.
It just messes with your equilibrium so well.
I love it. See, that's one of those things that is just so perfect. That the way our brains are built and the way that our bodies are made makes us susceptible to the silliest things. Yeah. And that being one of them is just awesome. You intentionally lean to one side thinking you're going to flip upside down. It's amazing that works. Something so simple. Mm-hmm. I love it.
What came... the bubble room. There was an awesome bubble room scene.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
Telephone,
the dolls on the bed.
Oh,
it's really hard to describe because I don't know how to put it. There's no theme to haunt to Hobbs Grove. There's absolutely no theme really. Yeah. But there's an overarching theme of basically that the grounds that you're on are haunted and being attacked by various monsters and stuff. And there's no IP stuff. You're not going to see Freddy's or Jason's or, any of that stuff. It's all characters that the people, the talent themselves, for the most part, kind of create their character. They're kind of given the room and the costume, but they're given the freedom to come up with their own character and their own way of interacting with the world.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yep. And then... I have to say it was really long too. It felt longer this year than 2 years ago when we went through it. And maybe it's because of the upstairs.
That's what we were trying to figure out. We weren't sure if it was actually, like, as far as how many steps you take longer, or if it seemed longer because you had to go upstairs and then downstairs. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, last time we were there, I thought it was a really long trek.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I think maybe it took more effort this time because we had to climb up a set of stairs. But it was, I mean, however long it was perfect. Like, when... Oh, Kim's taking a shower. So when you start to see the maze and the ideas winding down, is about when your constitution is done being scared. Like it winds down at just the right time to where, like, okay, I've pretty much seen all the gags I'm willing to see. You know, I'm ready for a nice, quiet, like, you almost like cool down from the workout kind of thing.
Yeah, you
like
need that downtime.
Yeah, and it's still scary. I mean, the talent that you encounter is still plenty scary. Like, don't think you're off the hook or anything, but the constant, like, the boom, boom, boom of, you know, event after event after event, you know, it starts to just slow down a bit.
And almost the slowdown makes it worse because you're used to the boom, boom, boom of, like, so much talent, and then all of a sudden at the end, you start kind of getting these gaps and you start to get a little paranoid because you're like, I know something's coming.
But you just don't know from where.
And they're really good at completely surprising you.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not over when you think it's over.
Nope.
And that's all I'll give you on that one.
Yeah. All right. So after the haunted house, we did the haunted hayride, which I think overall, for everybody, I think it was their favorite attraction of the evening.
Yeah. That's the feedback I got too.
Yeah, it was amazing this year. Mm-hmm. If you've never done a hayride, you know, we have the Los Angeles haunted hayride here. I've never done it.
I've never done it either.
Because I'm afraid to, because I love Hobb so much, and their hayride is so amazing. It might be a little disappointing, but, you know, I want to check it out eventually, but...
I think we owe it to, you know, being haunters and being fans of the industry. Like, we were unavailable for so many years because we were working either Scary Farm or... you know, Huntington Haunt or Sinister Pointe. Like, we always had something going on.
Yeah.
So we've never really cut time out of our schedule to visit that attraction. I know we should, but, I mean, it's not like we've heard the most amazing things. We've heard it was better this year than it has been in the past. But anyway, you know, that is what it is. But
so if you haven't been on a hayride, basically there's a giant trailer full of hay that's being pulled by a tractor. And hats off to the tractor drivers at Hobbs Grove. I have no idea how they can even tell where the hell they're going. Because there's no headlights on these things. You know, they have a tiny little, like, glow stick on the front. And it's not like a special glow stick. It's just one that you buy at, like, Party City. And it's just
so others don't run
dangling
into
on the front. So I guess, like, the talent can see it kind of coming. But there's no lights out there. They just must know this trail by heart where they're driving.
I'm sure. And the trail that you go on is so long that they can have 8 tractors going at once.
Yeah, they have 8 different tractors.
I mean, imagine a roller coaster, like, having 8 trains going at one time. Like, that'd be a really long roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like, that's how long this particular attraction is. I mean, it's by far the longest.
So, what were your highlights of the hayride?
Well, the highlights of the hayride are things I don't want them to hear about. So I will try to think of it from a... Oh, man. Okay. So I love that it's a hayride, for one. And it's not just like, you know, a nicer, you know, covered wagon that has some hay in it that you sit in and you're comfortable. Like, no, you are flopped on your butt. Tuck in your shirt, by the way. This is from an experienced haunted hayrider. Having gotten hay at my butt. And so always tuck in your shirt. Even if it's the only shirt you have on, tuck it in.
Yep.
Your butt will thank you. So I'm like, you're sitting in the hay with, you know, probably people that you don't know, and you're pretty squished in there, and it's not like you're sitting on a bale of hay, it's loose hay. So you're like just, you know, plopped in there, like a little baby lamb, and then you take off much faster than you would think. And then you go around and you turn a corner and then there's the first scene. And it will blow your mind. I mean,
that first scene this year was amazing.
The level of detail. I mean, again, the theme continues of, you know...
no theme.
I meant that, like, the theme of the scene. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's no theme. You're just in a world full of creepy. But, like, the theming of this first vignette
Oh, man.
was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just stellar. And the character that's out there, too, is just, I mean, the details were fantastic.
Yeah, I've been there so many times, and when we turned the corner and I saw it, I think I let out an audible gasp. Because I was just so blown away at what they built.
You just don't expect that.
You don't expect it at all. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, if that's
just
the
out of nowhere.
start,
Yeah.
we're in for a hell of a ride.
And it was a hell of a ride. So you go through all the different vignettes. There's different levels of you know, the mood of the scene taking itself super seriously or, you know, very not, you know, taken seriously. Sometimes it's like that was interesting.
Yeah.
But then it's followed up by something just knock you on your butt. If you weren't already sitting, you had fallen. I mean, just amazing scares and no shortness of talent. I mean, the amount of monsters out here are, I mean, over 100?
It's over 100.
It's
Yeah,
gotta be,
they
because
employ
there's-
over 100 for sure.
I mean, there's so many characters at each
You know, in
vignette.
each scene, I'm trying to count, but like anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 monsters per scene, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 6 at the most.
Yeah.
And they all work together. They all have their different things. And some of them you go through and you just kind of drive through the scene, but then there's some where you stop and the scene takes place around you. And then there's some, like, certain events will happen on one train that won't happen on another. Whether it's like a reset issue or if like a talent is on break or lunch or something. I mean, that's typical of...
We were there on a Saturday, so they were running all 8 tractors.
Yeah.
So some of the more elaborate things might take a little longer to reset. So the first time we did the hayride twice. So the first time we saw some stuff, and then the second time we saw different stuff, and it was pretty cool. That, you know, each time it was different. So I mean, even if you go on it multiple times, you're going to get a different experience.
Yeah, you'll see the same vignettes, so you take the same path, but you know, you might learn some things from if you go more than once. If you go on a really busy night, it's going to be hard to see one event more than once. But
Yeah.
if you go, like if you're able to go on a Thursday, then you can possibly ride these things 2 or 3 times. And then you'll kind of learn things from your first ride that you'll be sure to remember for your second ride. Or things that you specifically want to look out for.
Yeah.
That it went by too fast, or there's one character in particular that I really wanted to get a better look at. That
We can kind of.
I don't want to tell him.
Come on.
It's too awesome.
All right.
So there's a certain character that I just didn't get a good look at the first time, but everyone was talking about it, and I was like, what did I miss? And so the second time we went through, I made specifically sure to get a good look.
The first time that we saw it, I was just like so creeped out by the scene that she's talking about that the second time we went, I was like, I want to see it again because it was just so cool and creepy.
So awesome.
And he didn't really have to do anything. Like, that's how creepy the scene was.
Yeah.
Like, it was just enough the little bit that he did was more than enough to creep you out.
Mm-hmm. And like they got the perfect actor for it too. It was
Yeah.
just, top to bottom, just amazing. I mean, all of it was amazing. They had actors on stilts. They had actors with really interesting costume pieces. Like there was LEDs involved, black lights involved. I mean, they really...
There was a full-on sword fight, which is freaking amazing.
There was. It was great. I mean, that's one of the attractions that you stop for. You actually get to watch something play out in front of you. And I think like the bad guys win. Like, bad guys always win.
I think at Hobbs Grove, the bad guys always win.
Yeah.
So the good guys
So we're not giving away too much, but...
not going to do too well.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was spooky. I mean, when it ended, I was bummed that it ended. I mean, it was really long. I felt like we were sitting in that thing forever, but I wanted to see more. It was just, everything was gorgeous to look at. It was scary. I got plenty of genuine startle scares.
Yeah.
Even though I could see them coming.
It's kind of counterintuitive because when you think about it, you're like, oh, I'm safe. I'm in this train. Nobody can get me. But I will let you know that the actors will jump into the hayride. Mm-hmm. So you are not safe sitting because you're in a trailer. They will jump into the trailer and they pretty much do whatever they want. So
They do. I mean, they're not going to hurt you. Don't think that it's actually like some sort of homicidal maniac that's going to try to pull your hair off your scalp or something. Like, it's not that bad. But they will mess with you a little sometimes.
Yep.
When appropriate. They're actors, and they're playing their parts very well.
Yeah, everybody on the hayride, 1,000% energy. And they were 1,000% into their characters. Like, that's the great thing about Hobbs Grove is nobody ever drops character.
No.
It's absolutely amazing. You're actually going to hear that in the interview we're going to play after we talk about the next attraction. We got an interview with Billy Bob, who is actually the manager of the entire park. And he did the interview in character. He did not drop character for the interview. So you're going to hear the character doing the interview, and that's pretty awesome.
He's an awesome person, but you can tell that he really cares about this event.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, we'll talk more about that later, but.
So the next attraction, the final one of the evening, is the Haunted Forest. And this is really cool because I've done it several times, and they changed the route up slightly. They've changed it up slightly every single year, but this is the first year that they completely changed the route. Like, I did not recognize the Haunted Forest at all. And the way that they have the line going through, now you have to actually enter the forest as part of the queue line. So you're deep in the woods. You can't even see, I don't even think you can see the sky because there's so many trees and it's so overgrown.
Barely. But
and
what you can see is gorgeous.
So dark in there that you're literally just like hanging out in a dark, creepy forest waiting to go deeper into it.
Yeah, and there are monsters that hang out in the queue line. And I think it might still be the same thing where they are responsible for something in some way because they're just that extra little bit of attentive. But you wouldn't know it. These creeps are, just doing what they do, being their creepy selves out in the middle of the woods. And, I mean, it's so dark out there that, like, I think we were able to see a bit of the moon and a couple stars. But out in, like, the Esplanade, aside from the light pollution, you could see tons of stars. So we were pretty cushioned underneath that canopy. But it was so dark that there's one light that signifies this actual start of the maze, or of the attraction.
Yeah, where they took your ticket.
And it's like this dim little orange light, and it seemed so bright.
Yeah.
Because it's just dark in there.
Yeah, it's really...
And somehow nobody tripped.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is they don't tell you really where to go. Like, they take your tickets and they're just kind of like, have fun. And you're just like, do I go that way? And you just like start kind of walking down the path, and you hope you kind of end up going through the attraction because it's dark and there's no lights out there. There's some good special effect lighting, and this is something I noticed this year for the first time, how they actually light the forest.
Yeah.
Because I've never really paid attention before, but there's not much lighting in the foreground on the trail itself. All the lighting is probably about 20 feet back from the trail, and it's kind of like just sort of background lighting. Mm-hmm. So you'll see some cool like green and blue and whatever colored lights, but they're not helping you at all. They're not illuminating your path. They're just kind of in the background as like ambiance, I guess. Yeah,
they're painting the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the scenes that you go through, it's more cohesive instead of, so like the Haunted Hayride, you're traveling pretty much from glimpse to glimpse of the different parts of this world. In the Haunted Forest, you pretty much are just walking through the forest and the various people who live out there. So you can imagine very, ethereal, mystical type creatures and characters. And then you've got very much, to bring it up again, type characters are out there too, because they live in the backwoods.
Yep.
And then, just supernatural things and natural things. I mean, it's very interesting, the things that you come across. So there's my favorite. Oh my god. You know exactly which one I'm talking about, right? With the two characters that are facing.
Oh, yes.
I don't want to tell you.
My favorite part of the haunted attraction, the Haunted Forest. Oh my god.
So I won't give it away, but you you're greeted by a person.
A gypsy.
And they ask you, they're like, hey, and like, she starts pouring on the chart and asking you a couple questions. And then you are led around the corner and
there's two more gypsies.
There's two more gypsies.
With their backs to you. So you're walking towards their backs.
And they're, these dudes and they're like shimmying. Or you see these beautiful gypsies and they're shimmying. And then, like, do you want to tell them, like, what happens?
We can if you want.
I feel like I want to give them this one.
All right, let's give them this one.
Okay.
So let's start at the beginning. So you come around, you're met by this gypsy. She's amazing. And she's asking if there's any single guys in the group. And, of course, even if there isn't, someone gets pointed out as a single guy just for the hell of it. Why not?
Vince from All Things Haunted.
And what?
What?
And then she leads you to her sisters. And her sisters have their back to you. And so you're walking up, and as you're walking up, she introduces them, and they turn around, and it's two of the biggest dudes with beards that you've ever seen in your life. And it is the most hilarious thing.
Oh my God. And the costumes that they built for this. Oh my God. The boobs.
Oh my God. So awesome. And they're so good at improving. I could tell it's still new, it's only the second weekend they've been open. Mm-hmm. So you can tell they're still, because we did the Haunted Forest twice as well. And you could still tell they're kind of getting their legs. And from what, one of the people said, they didn't even want to do this at first. But after the first night, they fell in love with it. And now they're just running with those characters, and they are hilarious.
It's comedy gold. I mean, we'll always have that hilarity that we find in something so unexpected. So when, by their stature from behind, it's probably two dudes.
Yeah.
But when they turn around and the costumes and the whole aesthetic that they've built for themselves is just, we were dying. It was so funny and perfect. And I just can't get over the boobs that they made for themselves. I know I keep using that word, but it was
you're
hilarious.
a girl, so tell me, what bra size do you think they were?
They didn't gals, when you have really big boobs, you tend to have a really big, a bigger rib cage as well. So you're looking at like 40 double D or, something like that, 40 E or F or whatever. Mm-hmm. These guys, they didn't have the padding on the rib cage, so it was all rack.
Yep.
So let's see, let me think about this. So the cup size, ladies, we know this, gentlemen, pay attention. So the cup size is determined by the measurement difference in inches from the fullest part of the breast. Casey's looking at me right now because I'm making gestures.
It's pretty awesome, guys.
I hope this is educational for all of you. So you measure once around the ribcage and then once around the fullest part of the bust. Okay?
Okay.
So the measurement, say like one is 34 inches and then over your fullest mount is 36 inches. That's 2 inches different. That means you're A, B. And it goes up from there. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing the rib cage measurement we'll take the taller gentleman.
Okay.
We'll call him, I think it was maybe a 38.
Sure.
I'm thinking he was a very stout fellow, but tall. So 38 around. And I'm going to guess maybe 48 or 50 inches around the fullest of the bust. So everybody, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L.
38L. Wow.
Was this man's breast size. And well squished into, that's a push-up bra because he was wearing his titties underneath his chin.
Oh, yeah.
They were magical.
And he had names for him, too.
He did. Oh, my God. It was great. And that was just the taller guy. The other guy, I'm guessing, was around the same bra.
Yeah.
Actually, his might have been bigger.
You think?
He might have been in the M or N.
Maybe.
N region. But, just beautiful characters, for just seeing them for that short amount of time.
Yeah.
For them to be that memorable, they must have done something right. And being character actors ourselves, we appreciated that immensely. And that it was done, it was done with class. Mm-hmm. It wasn't insulting.
Gross
it wasn't
or anything
gross.
like that.
It wasn't vulgar. It was just funny and cute.
Yep.
And also because, they're gypsies. They're covered. They just happen to be very well endowed gypsies.
Yep.
And I appreciated as a belly dancer, there were a lot of genuine elements of cabaret belly dance in these dudes' costumes, which is great. You know, so they must have gone online and pulled images from somewhere to get these looks. But
yeah, they definitely weren't like bought costumes. They looked handmade.
Yeah, they made them. I mean, they probably, I don't know how much they like made as in like hand stitched.
Yeah.
But they pieced these costumes together with that.
Yeah.
You know, if they didn't, then whoever made the costumes did. I mean, I just thought it was great. And even the girl, the matron who asks, you know, is going around asking for the single dudes so that her daughters can be married, she was in a more simple outfit, but still, you know, all those things we talk about with the texture and the different color palette and everything. I mean, it was awesome. And, you know, for that matter, all of the characters, you know, showed the utmost, you know, experience as far as, I don't know how much of it they made themselves or how much of it was given to them, but their costuming was phenomenal. I mean, it was spot on.
There's something about the costuming and the talent. Nothing, no matter what they do, nothing feels out of place. So, like, if you went to a haunted house in Orange County and you went in and then they had like a Freddy scene and then clowns and then I don't know what else, cowboys and whatever, you'd be like, that's the weirdest, craziest maze I've ever been in. Nothing made sense. Somehow here, and I don't know if it's in the costuming or just how they put everything together, everything just flows and you just buy into it 100%. You're like, I am in this weird ass world and this is just what's going on and I'm part of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it could be something as simple as you never see a Nike swoosh on a pair of shoes. Like you never see any traces of our world in their world.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a decent amount of our listeners are Ren Fair attendees. There are a couple costumes that utilized some fair boots, like pirate boots. And that was noticeable to me, having been there and seeing, you know, made costumes for fair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they were so perfect for that character that it didn't seem out of place.
Yeah.
Like you can recognize bits and pieces. Like I recognized the belly dance portions of those dudes' costumes. You know, I recognize some certain footwear or, you know, a shirt here and there. Like I'm like, oh, that's an Opal Moon that she got of that online. Like things like that. But nothing took me out of the world. And even like standing, like hanging out with Billy Bob, being so close to him, nothing about his costume ever made me think like, oh, well, you know, he's wearing a pair of Doc Martens.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think he is wearing Doc Martens, but it looks like he's wearing shoes that he's had for the last 40 years. I mean, everything about it, down to the detail in his glasses, and his hat, like everything. I mean, it all matters and it all makes sense in this world. And like all the characters are like that. Even Sparkles.
Yeah,
Sparkles is hodgepodge of stuff. And
hi,
it's
Sparkles,
awesome.
you're awesome.
Oh, Sparkles!
Loved
is
your
the best.
costume. You were awesome.
The tutu. Just makes it.
Totally. So one last thing on the Haunted Forest before we go and talk to Billy Bob. One of my favorite scenes is kind of like it's very simple, is the swamp scene.
Oh, with the
yeah. So you're kind of up on this hill and you come upon the swamp and it's just completely fog laden and they have these amazing sets of laser beams going through it and it is just the coolest effect ever. It looks like, and you can see the people a little bit down below you walking through it. And it looks like they're walking through like glowing swamp water. It's just the most amazing effect. And it's just like when you come upon it, you're just like, oh my God, that's so cool.
It's simple and brilliant. Like you look at it and go, how come I didn't think of that? You know, the laser through fog concept has been used, you know, I'm sure plenty of 80s music videos had them, you know, but it's in this context, it was just perfect.
And the application of it was just
and the monsters had plenty of places to hide because everything again is like they're hiding in plain sight. There are very few like actual bits of equipment making this thing happen, but it created an entire world with maybe 4 little laser boxes. I mean, not many at all.
4, there was probably 4 or 5.
Like very few, but because I mean it's a laser, so it goes across the whole thing, and like the natural swirls in the fog made this beautiful, like gross, swampy swirliness happening all around you, and you're walking through it, and I mean you actually like you almost feel like you're gonna walk out sticky, like it's that much of a mind twist going through there. But it's perfect. And you walk down into it, and then you walk up
out of it. Yeah.
Like, it's so natural that a swamp would be there.
Yep. Yeah, it just fits so perfect. And yeah, it's just amazing.
It's awesome. And all the monsters that are over there look like they would be in a swamp.
Yep.
Like, they're just icky. Just awesome.
All right. So I think we've been on this subject for a long time. So let's
could gush for hours.
Yeah, we can just keep going and going. We can do 2 more hours if you guys want. But let's go to the interview with Billy Bob. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the Crossroads escape game, the Hex Room that I did last night. And it was so much fun.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. This is All Things Haunted, and today we're talking with Billy Bob from Hobbs Grove here in Sanger, California. Hi, Billy Bob. What's going on?
Well, hello there, everybody. How you doing?
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Billy Bob Hobb, and I like the way that just rolls off the tongue if you say that. Billy Bob Hobb. And I get excited when I just say my name, but you want to know a little bit about myself?
Yeah, actually, yes.
Okay, well, I'm the pumpkin farmer out here, and I growed all these pumpkins. The small ones, the middle-sized ones, the big ones, the different colored ones. That's what I do. I grow the pumpkins, and plus, I live out here. Got my own trailer.
And where is it that you live?
At Hobbs Grove.
Uh-huh. And where is Hobbs Grove?
Well, Hobbs Grove is in Sanger, California. Now, people say, what, Sanger? Where's that? And I say, well, it's near Fresno. They're, oh, okay. So if I say Fresno, then they kind of know where we are, but we're way out in the middle of nowhere.
Now, what is this place, Billy Bob? Is it a haunted attraction? Is it a farm? Is it a pumpkin patch?
All the above.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
And what kind of, do we have ghosts that are out here?
We have real ghosts that live out here.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And year round.
And what kind of attractions are here at Hobbs Grove?
Well, we have the haunted Hobb family home, and we have the frightening forest, and the hayride into Shadows Keep.
Really? And can you talk a little bit about what those things are?
Well, those things are where all the spooks and weirdos live.
Uh-huh.
If you go through there, it's going to be scary.
Now, do you ever venture into these forests or these things?
Only if I have to. I try not to, because I'm a big chicken.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So what's exciting about this year's Hobbs Grove? What are you excited about this year?
I'm excited about everything. You know, I'm excited about the forest. I'm excited about the house. I'm excited about the hayride. Oh, man, and everybody's having fun when they come out here. And if you come out here and you go on the hayride, and you're like, oh, this is nice. And, whoa! And then, oh, okay, this is nice. And, wow! You know, and there's so many things going on there. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything. I just want to let people know if they come out here, they're going to be entertained. Now, I know people say, oh, it's one of the scariest places out there. Yes, we're scary, but for the most part, we're entertaining.
Right. And what are the hours of this operation?
Well, there's different hours, like tonight, being that it's a Saturday night, we open up when the sun goes down, when it gets dark, which is about 7, and we'll stay open until midnight. And that's on a Friday and a Saturday night, we stay open until midnight. On Thursdays and Sundays, we stay open until 10, because we have, regulations we have to follow.
Now, are you open Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays?
We are not open Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, except for the last week of this year. The last week of this year, we're open from Wednesday until Sunday.
And what year is this for Hobbs Grove? How long have you been here?
Well, this is year 2016, and we opened in 1999, so that would make it our 18th year of fear.
That's great. That's wonderful. Okay, and where can they find out more information on Hobbs Grove if people want to come out here?
Well, they could go to our website, which is hobbsgrove.com, and that's real easy. Or they can find us on Facebook, and we're on Twitter also. And I believe one of those things, what's it called? Instagram? Something like that.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you in a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
Good talking to you.
Thanks. And thanks again for watching. Again, this is All Things Haunted with Billy Bob from Hobbs Grove.
Billy Bob Hobb.
All right, so Casey, tell me about your most recent foray into the October entertainment world.
Well, last night, Albert from westcoaster.net and myself, we went and did the Crossroads Escape Games room, the Hex Room, which they just updated it for Halloween. So we wanted to check it out because they were offering a Haunter's Night, which is like a night for industry people to come and check it out. And they give you a little bit of a discount to go and do it. And we had a blast doing it.
So, did you have to prepare or look anything up or, do any sort of like mental placement before you started doing this, or did you just show up and go?
I did absolutely nothing going in, and I'll have to say I was actually visibly nervous.
You?
I was, because I'd never done an escape game, right? So I had no idea what it was about. All I knew was that they updated it for Halloween, so possibly it was going to be scary. I don't know. I didn't know what we were supposed to do. I knew that the concept of it from people that have done it, so I knew that was basically I'd be in a room with people and you'd have to figure out puzzles in order to, or find clues to figure out puzzles in order to get out of the room, basically. And you have an hour to get out.
It sounds complicated.
So that's pretty much all I knew about it. And I thought I was going to be the only one nervous about it. But then Albert came and he was visibly nervous, and he's done an escape room before.
Wow.
And so we were both like, I don't know what's going to happen. And then we were paired with, 4 monsters that work, the Walking Dead attraction at Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood. So they came down, and so it was just the 6 of us going in, and they really amp up the intensity of this thing pretty quickly. So what happens is basically you have to sign a waiver. And then you have to kind of fill out this questionnaire form. And what they use the questionnaire form is for the hex rooms. Each of you get a character. So there's 6 different characters. There's, the detective, the jock, the
Prom queen?
The prom queen, the virgin, the nerd, and the rebel. So those are the stereotypical people that they think are in a horror movie. And the idea is you are going to play one of these characters, and they want to see if what happens to that character in a horror movie would happen to you in real life.
And which character did you end up with?
I ended up being the nerd.
That's so fitting.
Yeah. And Albert from West Coaster, he ended up being the virgin, which is pretty funny.
That is amazing.
And so what happens is once you basically, they line you up in a room, and you're given tokens for your character. So like for me, the nerd, I got a pair of glasses and suspenders. So like, they're the nerdy giant big glasses and suspenders. But the interesting thing about those pieces of whatever they give you for your character is they are actually clues to help you. Each character has a personal puzzle, and you can choose to do it or not. It's not going to change whether you escape or not. But if you can figure out that puzzle, and escape, so you have to figure out your personal puzzle and escape the room, only 5% of people can do it.
Wow. Were you able to ultimately figure that out, or was that something that you had to leave behind?
No, I left it behind, and what sucks is I was at work today sitting at my desk, and it hit me exactly what I was supposed to do to figure out the puzzle. And once I thought of it, I felt so stupid because it was so obvious.
Hindsight's 20/20. You never know. I mean, once it dawns on you, of course it's obvious. But
yeah.
I mean, how do you know? That's pretty funny.
So once you get your character stuff, you put your character stuff on, they then hand you blindfolds, and everybody is blindfolded. Yeah. And, obviously everybody was nervous. There was like nervous giggling and jokes, and like, we were all kind of freaking out because we had no idea what to expect. And even some of the other people that were with us, one of them, they've done tons of escape rooms, and you could tell they were kind of freaking out too. So
there's something that escape rooms don't usually do?
I don't know. I've never been to one before.
Okay.
So I don't know. So they blindfold you, and it's the room you're in slowly gets quieter because they're slowly one by one moving people into the room and positioning them where they want them.
Okay.
And so then finally, like, you're just sitting there and it's like getting quieter and quieter. And then all of a sudden you just feel hands on your shoulders. Ugh. And like, you kind of jump. You're like, oh, and then they just start leading you and you don't know where you're going. You're blindfolded. It's pitch black, and they're just kind of guiding you where they want you to go.
Can you guess how many steps you took or how far you went?
It wasn't terribly far. But yeah, I couldn't guess. Like, you're like so in the moment that you don't think really to think about it.
Did you hear any sounds while you were walking?
No, it was dead silence.
Oh my God.
So, I mean, because whoever else was in their room and whoever else was left, I don't know what order I was put in. I could have been second or last. I don't know. So they just leave you there. Once their hands are off, they like kind of position you, and then they let go. And
you just tiptoe away and
you're basically just told before you go in, don't take your blindfold off till you're told. And then you're just standing in the pitch black with a blindfold on.
Oh my god.
Just standing there, waiting and waiting and waiting.
How long do you think you were waiting there?
It felt like an hour. It was probably maybe 15 seconds to 30 seconds. I mean,
that's an eternity when
you lose all sense of time. At that point, you're just like, everything is dead silence and you're standing with a blindfold on. You don't know what's around you and you don't know where you are. And so what they did was they really amped up the challenge, I guess you will say. Well, they amped up the challenge of the puzzle room. What they did is they isolated 5 people into their own rooms. So you're locked into a room by yourself.
Okay.
And then the detective ends up in a central room between everybody else's rooms. And so it's a game you have to communicate, because I could have objects in my room that somebody else needs, and they might have something I need.
So when you start, like, is there a voiceover or something telling you, okay, remove your blindfold, and then now...
Yeah, so there's kind of like, if you've seen the Saw movies, like the Jigsaw character, there's a character kind of like that, that's basically like, let's play a game and let's see if you can escape this horror movie or whatever, something like that. So then it tells you to take your blindfold off, and you're in your room and, never have done a escape room before. I was kind of like, okay, what do I do? And so I just started kind of just tearing the place apart, really. Like, I just started going through any drawer I could go through, anything I could do. I was just trying to figure out stuff.
Are you given any clues at all, or just good luck?
You're giving absolutely nothing.
You just have to start figuring things out. Like,
yeah.
How do you know what stuff to alert your fellow players about? And, like, how do you know?
Well, the thing is the characters, because you're all there when you're given your little tokens. So the characters. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of, some of the stuff you can kind of guess based on the things that you find, like, oh, this might go with this person. Mm-hmm. But it's the detective's job to kind of communicate that. So you can, basically what there is there's kind of like a little mail slot in your door, and you can like look out the little mail slot and you can see into the central room.
Okay.
And so you can call out to the detective and basically like slide the thing you found out the little hole and say, hey, I found this. Does anybody need this? And it's their job to kind of describe what the thing is. And hopefully somebody else is like, oh yeah, I need that. I have another one or something.
Oh my gosh.
So it's the person that's in the middle room. They are running around like crazy as people are finding stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane. So the idea is you have to escape from your tiny little room and get into the central room with the detective. And then there's more puzzles in the central room that you then have to figure out in order to get out of the escape room.
So how long do you have to get out of the escape room, like everybody?
You have 1 hour to get out.
Okay.
We got out with 49 seconds left.
Oh my gosh.
So it took us the entire time, but we could have escaped a little earlier. We actually got the last key at 3 minutes. So we still had 3 minutes left on the clock. So the other aspect to this is the Jigsaw character guy is kind of monitoring you, so he can hear. Everything is microphoned. Mm-hmm. So he can hear you guys in there, and then there's a telephone in the detective's room that will occasionally ring, and he'll either give you hints or say stupid stuff, whatever. I didn't ever answer the phone, so I'm not sure. I know part of it was hints, because they can hear you. So one of the things I know one of the things, like, I had a puzzle and I was having a hard time with it, and like I couldn't fit it out the slot because of the size of the thing that I was working on. So I kind of like held it up to like the hole, and they were trying to peek through the people that had gotten out of their room, and they gave me some advice, and then the phone rang, and it was like the dude, and he's like, the advice he gave him was good, and then they hung up. So,
Oh, wow.
So they're listening to what you're doing, and they'll kind of give you a few hints. They won't tell you how to solve a puzzle, but they'll kind of tell you if you're on the right track or if you're missing something, kind of.
That's cool.
So what we did was when we got the last key, we're like, you know what? We have all these personal puzzles. Let's try to get them. Because we had all ignored them, because we're like, let's get the main puzzle done, and then if we have time, we're going to go try to solve our personal puzzles. And since we had 3 minutes, we're like, well, let's work on those. Let's see if we can get one. So we actually just called out, hey, give us a 1 minute warning. And so then we all just started working on our personal puzzles, trying to figure out the puzzles, and only one of us got it. But once we got the 1 minute warning, we're like, all right, let's get out. And then we got out.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you had a lot of fun.
It's absolutely fun. I want to go back and do it, because the great thing is since there's 6 different characters, you can play a different character each time, and you're going to have different puzzles. And because of the way that it worked out, my character, I was like, I think I was the last person out of my little room, just because I needed stuff from other people, and I couldn't get it until they figured out puzzles.
So they had to get out before you can get out.
Yeah, so it was kind of a thing where like I couldn't get out until I had pieces from other people, and I couldn't get those pieces until they figured their puzzles out. So I ended up out last. So they were already figuring out puzzles in the central room while some people were helping me get out. And so, you know, literally there's like a bunch of stuff that I don't even know how we did it, because I was so focused on getting myself out of the room. Because the other thing is with this puzzle, not everybody can escape sometimes. So it's like if I had been left in the room and it came down to like a minute and they figured out the rest of the stuff to get out of the escape room, they could have left me for dead.
Oh my gosh.
And so you can get left for dead in there. So, you know, it's...
So did they still win?
They win, but you get to... So they take a picture at the end with like how much time you had left when you escaped, and you get like an escape sign, but they also have a left for dead sign. So if you get left behind, you get to hold the little left for dead sign, and basically saying like your character died in the horror movie.
But that's not your fault. It's not like you failed because you didn't get it. You failed because they decided not to help you and give you what you needed.
Well, I mean, maybe they were trying to help. If everybody communicates right, you're going to get out, because we did.
Yeah.
So it was either they weren't communicating right, or you were stupid enough to not figure out the puzzle.
Well, that's not fair. I mean, if you said the success rate was 20%.
Yeah, the success rate's 20% of escaping, and then only 5% get the personal puzzle finished.
So only 5% of all players get the personal puzzle? So that one person out of the 5.
Yeah, only 1% out of our 6 people got it.
Wow.
Yeah, and only 20% of groups that do it even escape at all.
That's impressive for your first one to actually not only, do well, but to succeed with plenty of time to spare, enough time to go, mess with your own stuff before escaping with, less than a minute.
The puzzles are really mentally challenging, and one of the reasons why I had trouble with the last puzzle is because the first puzzle that I did was way more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Like I thought, like, oh, I figured this out, and then I tried to put the code in to unlock a lock, and it didn't work. And then I was like, okay, wait, something's wrong. So then I was like, okay, let me try this, and let me try this, and let me try this. And it ended up that Albert, who was in the room next to me, there was a mirror on my wall. And that mirror was actually connected to a vault in his room. And so he had to open the vault up in order to look through the mirror. It was like a 2-way mirror. So like I saw a mirror, but he saw a window.
Yeah.
And I guess on his window, there was stuff written that pointed out the code on my wall. And so he had to give me the code through the wall in order for me to get it out. So I was already in my head like, okay, this is way more complicated than I think it's going to be. Mm-hmm. So once I figured that out, the next one was pretty complicated too. And so the last one, I was thinking in my head, this is going to be a hard puzzle to figure out, So in my brain made it more complicated than it needed to be. So when it was pointed out to me what it was and how to get the combination, I've just felt so stupid because it was so right in front of my face, and I was just making it more complicated than it needed to be.
But that's funny that's the mind trick that they play on you, where, you're going to get thrown into this complicated thing, but the thing that the little thing that you needed to do was, right in front of you the whole time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they get the last laugh, like, yeah, you got out, but they got the last laugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Because something's so easy and so little.
Exactly. But there is, you come out and it's very intense. There's lighting. The lighting will dim to the point where, like, you're working on a puzzle and then it dims so dark that you can't really see because your eyes are adjusted to a certain light, and then it goes super, super dim. And then the puzzle just goes out of your mind, and you pretty much have to, like, wait, where was I on this thing? And you have to take a second to, like, reconfigure what you were thinking, because some of these things are, like, I don't even know, like 8, 9 steps maybe.
Wow.
And so you're in your mind, you're thinking, okay, I need to do this, and then I gotta look at this thing, and then I need to do this, and then the lights dim down, and you can't see what you're looking at, and then everything goes out of your mind, and you have to go, like, 3 steps back to then, like, keep going forward,
Are you allowed to take notes? Like, can you?
There's nothing to write on. So the other thing is they make you take everything out of your pockets, your cell phone, wallet, keys, like everything has to go into a locker before. So you have absolutely nothing on you. There's nothing to write on. You're just using your own mental capacity to try to remember all this stuff.
I would be so screwed.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. But it was so satisfying. Like, once you get the first puzzle, you're like, holy crap, I got a puzzle. Okay, what's the next one? And you're just so jazzed, and you just keep going and going and going. And by the time you get out, you're like sweating. Like, everybody was just like sweating, and like we're like shaking with excitement, and like, you come out and you feel like you really accomplished something.
Yeah, so tell me what it was like after you guys got out and you actually did this epic thing that you've been spending an hour trying to do.
Yeah. You just feel so elated, and everybody's just so excited. It's like, it's like you've all been best friends your entire life, and you just saw each other for the first time in 5 years. It's like everybody's like high-fiving and hugging, and we're like, oh my God, we did it. And
you made new friends.
Yeah, it's so, it's the most amazing team building experience. So, I totally say go and do it with like 6 of your best friends, and you're going to come out you're either going to come out hating each other because you guys aren't talking and communicating, or you're going to come out even stronger friends for it.
That's incredible. And you had said that you and Albert, but you actually met 4 new people that you didn't know prior to this. So you were thrown into the challenge together.
Yeah, we never met them before. And by the end, we were all friends,
That's amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
So does it have to be 6 people, or can it be like 2 people in one room if you have a group of 8 or anything like that?
You can they'll do it from 5 to 10. So if you do 5 characters, one of the rooms, I don't know how they work it out, but there must be a way to adjust it, but one of the rooms just won't be used. Mm-hmm. And then you can do up to 10. And if you do 10, then you're going to double up in some of those rooms, which I think if you do more than 6 and you end up doubling up, it's going to take something away from the attraction. There's really something to you being by yourself, in the room, and really mentally working through the situation, and coming up with solutions that's really satisfying. And I think if you had a second person there, either one, you might have a harder time solving the puzzles because 2 different brains work different ways, mm-hmm. and you may take a puzzle in the wrong direction. Because there's a lot of stuff in there that you'll find that have nothing to do with the puzzles. It's just kind of a waste of time. And you'll spend time doing it, and you're like, looking at these objects. Like, my room was the nerd room, so there's like, all kinds of like cool stuff everywhere that, you can read or whatever. And most of it was a waste of time, but some of it you needed.
So how do you know what you need and what you don't need?
You have to be able to look through it and then make a split-second decision like, you know what, I don't think I need this.
That's incredible.
You may need it, but the things that I was like, you know what, this seems like I don't need it, ended up, you just using my gut instinct, I was pretty much right all the time. And then the stuff that I was like, oh, this seems important, really ended up being important. So following that gut instinct that you have when you see something really, really helps too.
That's so interesting. Do you think that being a haunter helped you at all? Hiding Easter eggs in a scene, or being a storyteller as well. Do you think any of that had any sort of influence on that?
Maybe, but really, I mean, being so new at it, it was literally like a lot of the stuff was kind of dumb luck.
Yeah, but between you and me, guys, Casey's a genius, and he won't tell you that, but he's actually really freaking smart. So just keep that between us.
Yeah, well, maybe, but but a lot of it's exploring, and I think that's the thing that I found so much fun is you have this room with kind of like endless possibilities, and you have to shrink those possibilities down, and the only way you do that is by exploring. So you're literally have to just start going through anything that you can go through, looking at anything you can look at, looking at the walls, looking at, just, you have to go through everything and then start parsing together what you think is important based on everything that's in the room and what's not.
So at what point did you start communicating with other people about things that you find?
Well, when I first got in, I was kind of overwhelmed. I wasn't sure what to expect once I took the blindfold off. Like, I had no idea. And once the blindfold came off, there was a little bit of a shock period by how much stuff was around me and how much stuff I need to look at.
Was it like full on, like 360 degrees on the ceiling, on the floor? Like everywhere?
Yeah, like it was everywhere. And so you have to I'm going to say you have to take like 5 minutes and just kind of really get your bearings and understand what is there and what it's trying to tell you. You know a little bit based on your character.
So does the room tell a story?
The room tells a story, and each character has a backstory, and
So
you
are you
kind
learning
of
that?
learn that backstory through the stuff that you're going through.
That's so interesting. And does it
Yeah.
play into the haunted or like the scary movie type feel with what happens to the characters and what happened in the past?
Yeah,
You don't give too much away, but like
I don't
does
want to
it kinda
give too
play
much
into
away because I only know about my character, the
Yeah.
nerd character. But so think about nerds and think about sci-fi and horror movies and that kind of stuff.
that? Anal probes.
They need to add that in there.
Yes.
No, there were no anal probes.
Damn it, I'm not going.
There was a really awesome old school X-Files poster on the wall. I can give that away because it didn't really mean anything. But
Well, that gave something away. I'm just kidding.
no,
It's not that bad.
but it was just a really cool
Did it have
prop.
a bunch of pencil holes in it? Because that would be cool.
You know what? I didn't even pay that close attention to it. I need to go back.
Let's go back. I didn't get to go, guys, because I was on babysitting duty, which I love. I love hanging out with my kids.
And I didn't even
but
get to go with Vince because Vince was, busy doing his thing.
He was
so.
on babysitting duty as well.
So, it was just me and Albert, which was awesome
You
because he's a cool
bachelors.
guy.
Albert is really cool. I bet it was a lot of fun
Yeah.
to do something like that with him.
Yeah, it was really cool and definitely want to go back. What were we talking about? Backstory. Oh
yeah.
So think about, horror, sci-fi, stuff that nerds would be kind of, I guess, kind of drawn to. And famous horror sci-fi stuff. We'll just say famous horror sci-fi things kind of played into the background of the character.
Was there a Stargate?
No,
I'm disappointed.
don't think there, but that wasn't really horror. So
Sci-fi?
it's sci-fi, but not sci-fi horror.
Son of a bitch.
Yep.
All right, well, I cannot wait to see this, and I really hope that we can put something together so we can get the Tales from the Fog team together with All Things Haunted and possibly some other things, other haunted content creators
Yeah. And
get together to do something like this. Because
definitely need to go back and do it because I want to try out some of those other puzzles.
do you know what their hours are or what what they've got going on through Halloween?
Halloween, I want to say they're open 7 days a week, but I know the weekends, I think the last game starts at 11 o'clock. So you have to book it in advance, and you have to pick an hour, basically, because it's going to be an hour event. But you actually start on the half hour. So, I mean, we started, well, maybe like 15 after, because you start at the hour, but then they have to give you the whole spiel of whatever, give you your costumes for your characters, blindfold you, put you in the room. So it takes like 15 minutes to fully load everybody into the room.
Mm-hmm. And then you have an hour from that point.
And then you have an hour from when the game starts. So you end up, by the time we left, it was like, 11, no, when was our game? 9. So we were out like by 10:30.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So then the next one started like
and the next one was at 11, yeah.
That sounds so awesome. I think that's really cool that and this is something that happens year round. They just kind of modified it for the haunting season.
Yeah,
right?
and they actually have an easier room, which is like carnival themed. So the hex rooms are a very hard room. They have what they call a moderate room, which is a carnival based game.
So like what age range would this be appropriate for?
They don't take anybody under 13. So you have to be
all the time or just
all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, all the time. You have to be at least 13, and anybody under 18 has to have an adult with them.
Okay. So you can't just have like a group of 13-year-olds run in there?
No, you have to...
That's probably wise.
Yes. And for the hex room, because of the difficulty of the puzzles, I'm gonna... maybe 18 plus.
Depending on like the...
16 might be pushing it. Like I'm just trying to think like based on like the knowledge base you need to kind of figure out some of this stuff.
Do you need to be kind of familiar with pop culture?
No, you don't need to be familiar with pop culture, but physics maybe.
Sure.
Chemistry.
Yeah, but there's something that you just peripherally pick up in your years. Like we watch a lot of documentaries in our house,
yeah.
So like you just pick up facts, and those things come in handy when you're doing some kind of event like this.
Yeah. So I mean, if you did take somebody that was younger, I mean, I don't know if they have a different age range. I know the website said 13, but I didn't check specifically for the hex room. You may have to help them along, or just leave them for dead. Why not?
That might be a good opportunity if you're going to have more than 6 people. If you're going to have like 4 adults and 2 kids, then those kids, younger people, you can have those younger people paired up with an adult.
Yeah, you could do that, probably.
That way they can experience it but not be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Well, this thing sounds amazing, and I'm really glad that it exists, and I can't wait to catch it this season. Even once the Halloween season's over, I would like to go back and see it the way that it is, normally. And we actually have another one, and this one, where we are recording, the hex room is down the street from our house. There's another escape room that's even closer to our house that we look at every time we go to In-N-Out, and we're like, oh my gosh, we have to go. And
I can't remember the name of that one, though.
I think it's just the escape room. I don't know.
I don't know. It could be.
It has a banner. I'm sure enough people know which one we're talking about by now, but Exodus?
Exodus. Yeah, I think it is Exodus.
Yes. Anyway, so yeah, I want to see that one too. I've always loved the idea of an escape room, but my wise moments are so few and far between. I'm worried that I'm going to go in a not good day, that I'm not going to be able to figure out a quarter of what I need to get out of the room.
I think once you're in the moment, as long as you have good deduction reasoning, you'll be able to figure it out. But it really does take some good deduction and
memory,
step by step, yeah, and just kind of like some of the puzzles you just have to work through. Like some of the ones, like I said, like I think I tried one 8 different ways before I finally figured it out.
So is it something like the stress of the situation, like the endorphin rush creates that sort of
I think
you need to figure this out right now feeling?
And I think it's just the whole environment and everything. It just starts, your brain just starts going into overdrive and just starts.
That's so interesting. I think
because when I started, I was completely lost. Like I didn't know what to do. I was kind of like totally lost. And by the end, it was just like, oh, boom, this, oh, boom, that.
So you could
this.
like feel your body sort of adjusting to the situation. Yeah. And then so that by the end, you're able just to like your synapses were just firing like crazy.
Yeah. So I'll just spoil it. I helped get the clue to how to solve the final puzzle we needed to get the last key to get out of the room.
Your room did? Or like
the whole escape room. So like I was the one that figured it out because we knew the thing we needed to get into, you know, was like everything is code based. So it's either letter codes or number codes. And I don't want to give away how I figured it out, but like they were like, oh my God, we need this last key. What do we need to do? And then I was like, oh, boom this, boom that. And they're like, oh my God, that's it.
And then, it just came to you because
and we had to try it like 2 or 3 different ways because we weren't sure exactly, but it worked out. Like, you know, we got on the right track and it worked out. We got out.
So do you think that this exercise gave you, like practice in being more present and being more aware of things, you know, hidden in your surroundings that can tell you something? Like, do you feel like you become more of a deductive reasoning, you know, person because of going through something like this?
Yeah, I think it definitely trains your brain to be more observant and more, I guess just more observant.
So kind of like those, you know, the video games where
Like
you play like the train your brain.
games?
Yeah. I loved those. I did
I
those
know.
so much when I was pregnant because I had nothing better to do. And just, I felt like you get quicker. The more you do,
Yeah.
you get faster. So I
And that's
imagine
exactly
the
the way
more-
I felt. You know, the first puzzle took me forever, and then the second one was a lot easier.
Do you feel like if you like did, like took a 1.5 mile jog before you did this event, you would have been able to just jump in right away? Like, as your blood would be flowing? Or
I don't know.
Do you think that mentally you just have to take that natural progression of, oh my gosh, this is a lot of stuff, to, okay, I'm getting this. Like, I get it. Okay, you need to do this. And like, suddenly you're like part of this, you know, this team that you're just firing off things and getting things done.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're out.
Yeah, you may just have to get over it because at first, like the first 10 minutes, I'm going to say, probably you feel very, very isolated.
Can you hear anything?
I could hear the person in the central room and I couldn't, that's pretty much it. I couldn't hear Albert until he was able to open up that window.
Wow.
But, you could kind of hear.
Is there music playing or anything?
Yeah, there's like creepy music and all that stuff going. So
There's like ambiance?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't tell you anything about what you need to do?
Well, unless the Jigsaw character comes on. So they also use the thing that you write, like the character sheet that you fill out before. They kind of use it to taunt you because they get a lot of personal information. So the character will kind of like taunt you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a fun aspect. Do you think they do that year round, or is that just a
I
haunted
don't know.
thing?
It's the original one. So we have pictures up. Crossroads gave me some pictures to post because he can't take pictures inside. So it's up on our website. So you can go over there and check it out.
And what's
but
that
they
website
are,
again?
it's talesfromthefog.weebly.com.
Thank you.
But they're pictures from the old non-Halloween version. So it's not quite as creepy, but has more of like a 50s noir kind of vibe to it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds like fun anyway. Even as is, I think it'd be fun to do at this time of year because for some reason, we like putting ourselves in calculatable danger at this time of year. Like, we're willing to put ourselves in positions where, like, a haunted house isn't for everybody year round, but for some reason, this time of year, we're willing to extend ourselves into places that we wouldn't normally be comfortable.
Yep.
And this sounds like something that, even if it was just all film noir, you know, just an escape room type thing where you get really anxious and you have to solve a puzzle and there's a time, you know, the other people are depending on you. Like, it creates all these stresses that normally, like, you don't want to do that every day.
Yeah.
You'd go gray, you know, in a week. But being able to do it just once, knowing that you're safe, knowing that nothing actually is dependent on it, I mean, that's exciting and thrilling. And that's something that we like to do this time of year. I mean, that's why Scary Farm is so popular. That's why, like, all the haunted things around the country, around the world now, are so popular because you are allowed to be vulnerable, you know, like controlled vulnerable for just long enough so you don't lose your mind. When you start to lose your mind, it's not fun anymore. Or like if you were in one of those rooms and you had a panic attack because it was too small or something, like it loses its fun at that point. But the fact that you can, like, we have these, especially here in California, in Southern California, they're so accessible to us.
Yeah.
I mean, that Exodus room has been there since we've moved here. So it's been here for 6 months at least.
Yeah.
I think it might have been here even longer than that. Like a year. Because
Probably close to a year, yeah.
Because we work nearby and we live nearby. We go to the In-N-Out where the Exodus room is part of. And so we've seen it forever. We're like, oh my gosh, we got to do that every single time. And it always creates that sense of thrill of even just the thought of going in there. Seems like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it just kind of, I've always wanted to do it. It just wasn't until, I had the opportunity and like date lined up and I got a good deal on it. I was like, well, I can't pass it up. I got to try it. So
it was serendipitous.
Yep.
Well, we definitely have to do it.
Definitely. All right. We've been on this podcast long enough, guys. This was an epic podcast. I don't even know how long it's going to be, but maybe 2 hours. I don't even know.
Holy crap. We may have to split this into part 1 and part 2.
No, I'm just going to throw it up. You guys are just kind of a long podcast to listen to, and you're going to enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
God damn it.
All right, guys. We got to get out of here. It's getting late. Thank you for joining us. This is Casey from Tales from the Fog and Veronica Marshman, my lovely, awesome, amazing co-host occasionally.
I'm here when there's no one else to talk to.
Nah, that's not true.
I'm also in the other room, so I'll just be like, hey, guys, from the other room.
All right, guys. Have a great evening, and we'll, until next time, we'll see you in the fog.
See you in the fog.